teacher.
Yes, again.
Come on, get those cards.
You thought the kid was a bit of a fun down there, can't you?
Deal them.
Last time now, it was like a foot. Come on.
I'm not surprised.
Get them right.
You're still up, though.
One mended.
Right.
Come in.
I don't believe you had it last time.
Bet, gentlemen.
Fancy.
I'll open for 5.
He's bluffing again.
Yes.
Your 5. My 5.
Stay with that.
Good night for you.
I'm in.
My stake.
Cards.
1.
3.
3 to a pair.
1, please.
1. Dina takes 3.
$50 for openers. You're 50, and another 50.
I'll stay for the laugh.
50, and laugh your way out of another 100.
He's got the right one again. Look at him, sitting there smirking.
It'll cost you to look, friends.
Not me.
I'll have a look. 3 bullets.
I need a drink. Look at him, gloating. We'll have that lot off you before you go.
Hey, give me your large one.
Uh-huh.
Which one of us is it?
Hello? Oh, hello.
How's your Nell, by the way, Rodney?
She's all right.
Grudging bastard. Newly wed and all. Picked himself a smashing bird, didn't he, fellas?
Lay off it, will you?
Mind you, her dad now.
I said lay off it, will you?
Well, it is her old man who's digging holes underneath where my hotel should be.
You what?
Bloody holes. Looking for antiquities.
Pots.
What?
He's looking for broken pots. Anyway, what are you so worried about? You haven't got your planning permission through yet, have you?
I was all set one time. And now her dad's got his spade in. What for? Why'd you buy him an allotment?
Maybe you could hire him, Clint. He'll dig your foundations for you.
Shut him up, someone, will you?
Rodney, love.
Go on, Elvira. Surprise me.
Nell on the phone. She said not to bother you.
But?
Well, I said it was all breaking up anyway.
My wife, I tell you. She sits by that bloody telephone all day playing auntie to the agony column.
I'm only sorry if you mind.
Why don't you ask first, woman? You're sending off the only man who's ahead, that's all.
Maybe I'll stay for this hand.
No. Go home, you fool. You're my accountant, aren't you? What's a bloody loser for an accountant? Besides, it's his money I'm after tonight. Nell? Nell, you in bed?
Of course not. I've just had a bath.
Oh.
Is that picture Elvira?
Oh, don't get so paranoid. Elvira's all right.
Yes. So what did you say this time?
She said you telephoned.
But I didn't ask you to come home, Rodney. I hope she made that clear.
You managed to get out today?
Yes.
Good, I meant to remind you to check the oil in the other car. I don't suppose you remembered.
No.
And the TV?
Rodney, you'll never guess where I parked this afternoon.
Park?
Yes, I was up on the ramp by the kiosk before I even recognised it. Do you know they charged me 40p? It isn't even flat, just clay and piles of bricks.
What are you on about?
They pulled Carlton Street down.
So?
You remember? Where Dad had his old shop. We used to go poking around there after school. One of them had bits of old jewellery.
Junk.
You bought me a bracelet there. I've still got it.
Christ, those tatty little shops. Used to change hands every 6 months. Nobody could get a living out of them. Don't you remember? I mean, your dad was bloody glad to get out of his with a bit of small change.
It's not what he says.
Well, he pulled down the whole lousy area for all I care. I mean, it's not holy or anything, is it? He's not grubbing about there, is he? Digging for pots in Carlton Street as well?
It was just a street.
Oh, well, that street died. OK? Everything dies. These days, people won't accept that.
You sound like Clint.
So? Clint Sharp. There are things you don't understand. Your kind of book doesn't tell you about them.
You think anyone can build up what Clint has, don't you?
Well, you're wrong. Your dad couldn't, for one.
There were things he liked to do more.
Oh, I know, like putting velvet knickers on woodwormy old chairs whilst your mother went out to work.
Oh, I'm sorry. What were you doing over there anyway? I mean, looking for somewhere to park in that bit of town.
I was just
You've
going
been to the hospital again, haven't you? I mean, you could have mentioned it, couldn't you? What did they say this time?
Well, maybe I would have mentioned it if you didn't look at me every time as if you just bought a pig in a poke. Do you think I like being treated like some kind of permanent invalid?
What did they say this time? More pills? Marvellous, I must have married you for the conversation.
Right. I didn't mean it to go like this. I mess up everything.
You're pregnant. You are pregnant. That's fantastic! Way!
I've got to tell you later, when we were in bed.
Hey, but listen, can you?
What do you mean, can I?
Well, I mean, what about your old bronchioles?
Well, sometimes asthma gets better. Most of it's psychological. Feelings of anxiety.
Yes, I know.
So you've got to be kind to me.
I am kind to you. My God.
Then promise not to tell me I've got the brain of a hen. Just for once.
Nell? Nell! Nell, is the thermostat on? What number's it on?
The normal number?
Yes.
I wish I knew why you do that.
Why I do what?
The whole point of having a thermostat clock. I mean, even if you had a brain like a computer, which you have not, the point is lost if you
I
don't
see.
operate it automatically.
You are suggesting.
No, I'm not suggesting. I'm not bloody well daft. I know exactly what's happened. You've gone back to operating that thing by hand. Although Christ knows why.
I will explain.
Don't bother. It isn't going to matter anymore in any case.
What are you looking so pleased about?
You'll see. Where's the salt? Don't you eat eggs with salt?
Just a minute. What a have you been up to?
Just what you've always needed, my love. A fairy godmother. I fixed it with Clint this morning while she was asleep. She's arriving at 10:30 a.m. exactly. Your helper and server.
My what?
Domestic help, darling. And not easy to find in this town, so remember, be friendly to her.
I'm always friendly.
Not to me, you're not.
And you telephoned Clint?
Mm-hmm.
This morning? You told him before I'd even told Dad?
Well, I like to get things moving.
Oh, she's coming this morning.
Hmm.
Oh, my God. I better clear up.
And the whole point is to let you relax, like the doctor said. You can go upstairs to bed again if you like. Go on.
No, she'll never stir if she sees the place like this.
Look, I expect Clint has told her what to expect, all right?
You busy, are you?
Ferris?
Stop by with some good news. Nell's pregnant.
Well, good on you. All right, is she?
I'm very pleased. Listen, how long do you plan on messing around down there?
Messing around?
I mean, couldn't you get a bit of a move on?
These things have got to be done right.
Oh, well, Clint Lewis won't let this site sit round much longer.
Well, we'll just have to see what the council said about that then, won't we?
Mrs Pritchett?
Mrs Hamer, what a beautiful house. I feel happy already. Do you mind if I just change? I brought my own apron and gloves. I don't know if you want me to have a uniform later on.
Oh, Mrs Pritchett,
but,
I think you must have been misinformed. Uniform? I mean, this isn't a very grand job or anything. It must have been because Clint phoned. I don't need a housekeeper at all. More a sort of char, really.
That's all right. I don't want to live in. Not at all. I have a little house of my own. I wouldn't think of leaving.
But the kind of job, what I want is someone to mop and clean and empty bins.
And the windows. They need cleaning too. I know, my dear. Nobody wants to work anymore, do they? I saw a window cleaner in the street only last week and asked him to call. But do you think I ever saw him again? It wasn't like that in the war, I can tell you.
But I don't understand. There's a labour shortage in Leicester, everybody keeps telling me. Couldn't you earn more money in some sort of... I don't want to be rude.
But I like it here. I'm happy already. I like you. Poor little girl.
Look at that. What is it?
A needle. No, you shouldn't have those about, should you? No. A fine one like that, they slide in so easily. Travel right round your body before you know it.
Wouldn't you feel it going in? Oh, I remember. My mother used to believe that.
Absolutely true. A friend of mine Poor soul, she lost her man the same day as I lost mine, over Bremen. Never flinched.
What happened to her?
Where's your work basket?
Oh, I usually keep that sort of thing in a drawer in the kitchen under the sink.
In the kitchen? Never mind, I'll soon have you sorted out. I have a little box of drawers at home. I don't need them.
I wouldn't think
Perfectly all right, Mrs. Hamer. We're all put on this earth to help each other, aren't we? Now just you sit down, and I'll make you a nice cup of tea.
But I don't like tea.
Where does the garbage go?
Garbage?
Oh, dear. I still use a little American slang sometimes. We all picked it up from the Yanks during the war, you know. Though, of course, I wouldn't go out with any of them myself. Now, just you sit back like a good little girl, and I'll find what I need to begin.
What's happening?
Shh. It's all right.
No, it's not all right. You've got my pillow. Are you ill?
No,
Oh, what is it?
I think she's spooky.
What?
Mrs Pritchett,
Oh, you're out of your mind. Go to sleep.
please.
Go to sleep.
You'll have to speak to her.
Can you slip down a bit?
Maybe you could speak to her tomorrow morning before you go to work.
Okay, fine. I'll speak to her before I go to work. Are you going to stay up there all night?
Good morning. Oh, how nice to find you here, Mr. Hamer.
Good morning.
Now, I hope you aren't going to mind, but I am glad to catch you. Last night I took several of your shirts home because there were so many buttons loose you'd hardly believe it. I bought some good strong button thread. I hope you don't think I'm interfering, but what do you want me to do with the Swiss blue?
Oh, I should give that one up.
Just as long as I know. I don't want to throw anything out you want. I learned the value of money the hard way, Mr. Hamer.
I'm just off, darling.
Rodney.
You've brought this house round very well, Mrs. Pritchett. I only hope the work isn't too hard for you.
Oh, I'm tougher than I look, you know, and I'm so thrilled. I love babies. The smell of linen in the sun, you know, and their nappies dry so sweet and white on the line.
But you never had a child of your own.
Well, I'm afraid we never had much time for it, Mrs. Hamer. That's God's will. I don't grumble. Mind you, I could have married again many's the time, but I just wasn't interested.
Well, we're very glad to have you here, aren't we, Nell?
Yes.
I'll see you tonight, darling.
would you like me to do?
Oh, Mrs Pritchett, please sit down. Do you smoke? I'd like to have a little chat.
Just for a moment, then. You know I like to be getting on. But I will say this, Mrs Hamer, you are very kind to me. And Mr Hamer, too. He works hard, doesn't he? I can always tell it. It breaks your heart, doesn't it, the way things go nowadays? It's always the wrong people have the money, isn't it? They don't care, do they, what happens to the rest of us and the wages they're getting.
I'm not sure about
yes, I know. It'll ruin this country. What they take home, you'd never believe it. And all these foreigners.
Well, I can't
tell you, they can afford anything. Holidays, cars. And it's you and I who pay for them, Mrs Hamer. You and I, don't we?
Well,
Of course it is. Did you read in the local paper about that poor woman coming home just with her pension by the council estate?
Oh, yes, those boys.
My husband died for those boys, Mrs Hamer. But they've no feelings. They don't want to work. Why should they when they can live off the rest of us? Well, just be getting on.
Mrs Pritchett.
It breaks your heart, doesn't it? What's to become of this country?
You did look in then, after all. I've been waiting.
Don't be like that, Dad. I'm hardly even late.
Why? What have I said this time? Don't look at you. Said having a baby.
Yes.
Well, you're quick off the mark, I'll say that. You're sensible there. Your mum left you too late, or nearly. Always hanging on for some change or other. She was a stubborn one.
Was she?
How's Rodney?
Oh, we're both fine. But how are you? Are you managing?
I'll tell you soon enough when I'm not. I'm not shy. You're taking on a charter here.
Yes.
Well, that's a good thing, isn't it?
Dad, I wish I could make somebody understand it. Rodney thinks she's marvellous. It's...
Hello, does he now? What's all this?
Don't be silly. She's twice his age. It's just that I can't get rid of the feeling that she's up to something.
Well, there's one thing I'll say for Rodney. He's not daft. He'd not want some old girl nicking the silver. Not that he'd know the difference between one piece and another if it didn't have a price tag on it. Are you cold, love? Here, I brought some tea cakes. Shall we do them on the fire?
Oh, yes. Lovely.
You're still my little girl, you know. You were really going to be something at school, weren't you? Remember those reports? I was as proud of you as an old bear. And now you're a married woman with her own car.
Yes.
You're always like a flower to me. You remember the roller coaster at Skegness? You made me go up and down so many times I was dizzy. When I got home, your mother had a real go at me.
Dad, it's terrible only half remembering her.
She was so ill at the end, love. It's hard to tell what she was really like. But she was a good woman. She'd have given me a son if she could. I know that.
Well, maybe you'll get a grandson now, to make up for it.
That'd be a bonus. Maybe I will at that.
gone 4:30. That's over 4 hours later than you should be here.
That's all right, I don't mind. Been cleaning out the loft.
I'm joking. It's full of old books. You couldn't possibly have moved those tea chests.
Go and have a look. Go on. There, isn't that better?
It must have been very exhausting for you.
And I brought out the Bible.
The Bible?
Dusted it off. Felt sure you couldn't mean to leave it like that. Look, there it is. My Philip always had his Bible. Took it with him every time he flew. Even the last time. He had it up there. I often think of that. In the clouds. He must have been very close to heaven, don't you think, Mrs. Hamer? There. I hope you're not superstitious, Mrs. Hamer.
Oh, no. Why do you ask?
That's good. I brought in these lovely white flowers from the garden. What are they called now? When we were in Wiltshire, they grew all over the place. Aren't they lovely? But some people say, you know, that white flowers bring death in a house, especially when...
Oh, no. No flowers. Not in the house. You see, it's the pollen. I'm allergic to
these
it.
Doctors, they make you believe anything.
I'm absolutely serious. I can feel it coming on already. Please.
Better take them in the kitchen, then.
I can't have made myself clear. They'll have to go right outside. Why don't you take them home with you? Please. It's very important.
You look a bit off colour today, Mrs. Hamer.
Yes. But why don't you do what I ask?
I don't think it does to give way to it. What you need is to sit down quietly and I'll make you a nice cup of tea.
But I don't like tea. Don't you remember? It's coffee I like.
Oh, you young people pouring that nasty brown tar in your stomachs. Well, you all think you know best. There.
Yes? Oh, Rodney. No. I'm fine. This evening. You want them to come round this evening? No. Tomorrow. No, there's nothing the matter. No, Rodney, I'm not being difficult. I just meant it. I was pleased it was tomorrow night. Yes. Yes, I'll see you tonight.
Oh, God, I'll get the doctor. You spray if you...
Listen. It's beautiful. Just to breathe.
Your head's hot. Come on, come back to bed.
Sure you're all right?
Yes.
The wrong people have money, don't they, Mrs. Yes, and the wrong people have babies. Not the strong, the weak, Mrs. Your generation. are people who have to fight blood we
Ronnie. Ronnie.
Our generation is soft and weak, isn't it? All the blood we gave wrong people have babies. I'll look after you. Don't worry, because I'm strong. Strong.
Put on the light! The light! The light!
Clear enough now, anyway. Roll over. I just want to listen to your passenger.
Anything wrong?
Don't worry. He can look after himself.
If anyone goes short, it'll be you.
What do you mean?
Excuse me, may I wash my hands?
I'd like you to have fresh. I'll go out and make sure you.
But you
have
won't
them.
leave Mrs. Hayman alone too long.
Don't you worry, Mr. Hamer. I'll make sure she isn't left alone for a moment. And
Oh, God. Doctor, listen. Will you close the door? I must talk to you.
Close the door?
Yes. You asked me before if there was anything troubling me. Well,
Yes?
I was afraid to admit it, but it's about Mrs. Pritchett. Do you think you could examine her for me?
Examine your charwoman. But she looks fit enough.
Fit, yes, but do you think she could be mad or dangerous to me, I mean?
Mrs. Hamer, what makes you think Mrs. Pritchett is in any way disturbed?
Oh, the baby. Yes, that's it. It's the baby she's after. She never had one of her own, you see, and she keeps praying for him.
My dear Mrs. Hamer.
Of course, you think I'm being hysterical.
No, not really.
But I do think you probably ought to get a good rest now. Look at those rings under your eyes.
I won't have a sedative, no. And I won't go to sleep either. You mustn't.
Something quite mild, just to relieve the anxiety.
I won't have a tranquilizer. Do you hear? I don't want one.
These are quite safe. And look, you've had these before. See? Just before you were married. No ill effects recorded.
So you won't do as I ask?
I'll talk to your husband.
No. I put you on your honour not to do that. It won't help. Please.
Now, I'll give the prescription to him. If you like, I'll say it's just to help you relax. You must promise to take them.
You've got to get these things out before you go and plonk your great big hotel on top of it.
Once you've done that,
Might be a fortune down there.
Now, look, I went down there and I saw those bearded wonders down there in their bloody hole with your father-in-law in it and all, and I said, now, where's your muscle? Because you've got a week's stay and that's it. You're out. You know what? They all started digging like blazes.
But how much of a nuisance are they to you, really?
Well, with interest rates running at 19.5%, what do you think?
You'll survive.
Oh, I'll survive all right. So long as those bits of old boots and china and things that your dad keeps picking up off my sight.
Anyway, you should see my little niece now she's got back. The airs. Hat like this, Mouth rolled up like a prune. I'd never have recognised her. But I'm telling you.
Get away! You're making it up.
Of course she is. She enjoys it. Pass that wine, somebody.
Hey, here you go.
Thank you.
Oh, boy, look at
that.
that. Has anyone like the crackly bits?
Crackly and anything else you give me.
Lovely.
Crackling.
Hey, listen, hang about. No, listen, Tony, you're on a diet, aren't you? So there's no potatoes for you.
I'll have some potatoes. I don't mind. I'll have some.
If I can get as fat as you are, I've got problems, right?
Rodney,
Mm-hmm.
can we go out? I mean, not to see people,
Just walk about.
Why not? We used to.
What for? You've still got all the pictures if you like.
There's nothing on.
Go out and see somebody then.
No thanks.
What's the matter with you? Why can't you be like anybody else's wife?
Like Elvira, you mean?
Oh, for God's sake.
That woman. Why can't you see what a bloody fool she is, damn it? If I ever talked like she did at the party, you'd just shut me up in 5 seconds.
She was just trying to keep the conversation going. You know, conversation, people talking to one another. You sit there glowering at everyone. It's difficult to make out that superior intelligence of yours.
Rodney, something funny happened today. Can I tell you about it? I mean about Mrs Pritchett.
Oh, God, not all that again, please.
Listen, Rodney, you must promise me. You have to find out from Clint where she worked before. I mean, there must be some kind of records. What Mrs Pritchett says about the job she did and the money, Rodney, it just doesn't make sense.
Hey, you really are quite scared, aren't you? What old lady?
The one she used to work for. I have to know what happened to her. Please, Rodney. Clint must know.
Clint! Clint! What are you doing here? Is there any new trouble? I can wait to hear about it, thanks.
I like to see you on the job.
Oh, yeah? Here. Catch!
Hey, watch out, you silly bugger!
What was it? A Victorian chamber pot. Give that to Nell's dad.
Might have laid me out, you silly idiot.
What's the matter?
Tried to get you yesterday.
Yes, I know. I'm busy.
No, it was important. You know the old girl you got me for Nell?
Yeah?
Well, where did you find her?
Elvira didn't like her face, so we passed her on to you. Still with you, is she? It just shows you that little Swiss bit we got left after 3 days. Why?
I mean, did you check her references and all that?
Why? What's she done?
Works like a horse 6 hours a day and won't take a penny extra for it.
Get off. She's at the gin.
No. So you didn't check it out?
I didn't. Elvira did. Oh, for Christ's sake, don't bother me. Ask Elvira.
All right, all right.
Have you any idea what's going on here?
Well, I do read the papers.
Right, then you know the council's cried off again. You know, there are a few buggers on that lot that would block me if I were trying to build a home for old-age pensioners.
I sometimes wonder why you bother.
Because I'm stubborn, that's why. Look, Rob, what's the matter with you?
Listen, get your boots off and phone me back next time I call, will you?
I pay you, remember?
Oh.
Now look, I'm a busy man. A public servant.
What, you?
Yes, that's right. And this town's growing. It's shooting up. There's money to be made. Up there, not down here underneath this lousy clay.
Well, you are being mysterious, aren't you? What's all this about?
I just want to see the reference.
I'll get it for you in a minute. Sit down first.
No, I'm a bit pushed. Oh, did they tell you the baby might be early?
Yes, Clint said. Nell okay?
Oh, she's all right. Have you got it out here, or is it in the house?
Here we are. Mrs Pritchett, 20 years devoted service.
Can I look? Makes you wonder why she ever left.
She had to, didn't she? The old girl died.
How did she die?
Darling, people do. She was all of 86.
Hey, do you mind if I take the letter? You're a good girl, Elvira.
I know.
Oh, don't leave him there.
When are you going to open the door? I'll get you something to drink. Put your kettle on.
Let me take him.
No, Mrs Hamer. You mustn't make a rod for your own back. If you pick him up every time he cries, it won't help.
But there's some sugar water. They said he could have that if he was thirsty.
He's asleep.
But he's such a small baby.
No, he's not. We'd never let him out underweight. Don't you be a worrier, Mrs Hamer. That's my advice. You'll see she doesn't do too much at first, won't you?
Oh, yes.
Just give us a ring if you need any advice. The midwife will be in tomorrow morning, but the cord's dry, of course. It'll just be a routine call. You've got someone to help you with the house, I'm sure.
Oh, don't worry. I've got everything organised.
Well, goodbye then, Mrs Hamer. You have a nice rest now. We don't want to see you both back again, do we? There's no sense trying to do everything the first day.
Thank you.
Don't worry. I'll see myself out.
What was all that about? You told me the agency said there wasn't a hope of finding anyone straight off.
Yes, that's true, but, well, I mean, we've got to have something.
Rodney, you're not going to ask her back again, are you? After all we said about it.
What did we find out, love? Nothing. I mean, she's not an alcoholic. She's never been in a loony bin. She worked for one woman for 20 years. I'd take the time off myself, but, well, you know just now.
I know. Clint.
Well, it's not just Clint. He's not my only client, love. Yes, he's bitten off more than he can chew this time. But that's just between ourselves.
How can Clint be in trouble?
Never mind the details. It's going to be a bad week. And I don't want you discussing that with your dad, if you don't mind.
All right.
Look, I went to see your Mrs Pritchett. Now, don't you think you could be wrong? And because, after all, what's so peculiar is just that you can't see what's in it for her. Isn't that it?
When will she be coming?
I said tomorrow. But I promise you, I did mean to ask you first. Here, take one of your pills.
I don't need any pills. I want to feed him. Isn't it marvellous that I can?
Hey, you shouldn't be up. You'll wear yourself out before the dreaded Pritchett gets here.
Not if I can help it.
You look terrible.
I'll comb my hair.
I'll bring you something in bed.
There's no need.
You sure? Hey, tell whoever that is to go away.
What, even if it's Clint?
Whoever it is.
All right. Hello? Oh, hello, Clint. I'm afraid he's already left. Well, why don't you try the office? Yes, I know it's only 7:45. All right, let's have a note of the number. He sounds almost human.
No, he'll survive.
Goodbye.
And don't worry. And don't let him eat you up either.
All right now, dear?
Yes.
We'll be down in the kitchen if he wants anything.
I'll see to him.
Oh, this newfangled breastfeeding. I tell you, it's not civilized. Why won't you let me make him a nice bottle? You'll be all out of shape, you know, if you go on like you do.
I explained.
However, you won't let me stay overnight so you can get some proper sleep. I don't understand. But there it is. Your generation is so stubborn. Where's my darling little?
Don't.
I'll just change my darling's little napkin.
Please don't. I'll be all right in a minute. I can do it.
There's nothing to it. Is there, my little baby dollykin? Mrs. Hamer. You don't think I'd stick a pin in my dollikins, do you?
Let me hold him.
The doctor said rest.
Let me hold
You
him.
mustn't.
I won't have it. Get away from him. Get away. Get away. All right, I'll show you. I'm stubborn too. I'll...
Bloody well up to in there.
It's Mrs. Hamer. She's ill. I didn't like to leave her.
Nell? Ill? Where is she? Come stop dithering about, woman. Where?
She's in the bedroom.
Nell? What's happening?
Well, I wasn't there.
Nell? 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 Nell?
Dad, what are you doing here? Thank God you've come.
There now.
Dad, you must help me. You must believe me. Oh, my God. Where's the baby?
Here, love, here. There he is. There he is. Now. Now, what's the matter?
I want her to go.
Well, if I'm not wanted, I'm sure.
Oh, what's all this about, darling?
Please, tell her to go. Tell her to go. You can stay with me, can't you? Till Rodney gets back. Say you'll stay with me, please.
Well, there's no call to be rude to the good lady.
That's all right. I know when some can't help themselves.
Only, stay till when will it be, love? You know I've got this meeting. Some of the blokes from the university, in fact. First time I've got them interested. It's all arranged for 5:30. I think even the local press is coming down.
But, Dad, I need you. Was this how you treated my mother? Was it? Ignored her while she lay at home? Am I like her now? Am I?
Oh, she had some funny ideas as well.
So you're not going to stay with me, are you? Will you get me the telephone, please? And Mrs. Pritchett, will you get me my handbag? Rodney, I want you to come home now. I don't care. Yes, I am ill. What's the point of pretending? Yes, that's right, I passed out. No. You'll come home. Now. Goodbye. I'm sorry. You mustn't be offended, but will you take a month's money and go? Put it down to my illness. I just can't bear it, having you here, running everything.
But Nell, don't be rash. Rodney can't be here to look after you. The place will go to pot, into the nappies.
Well, we live and learn. That's all, Mrs. Hamer. You kid.
You hurt me, what you said.
Have you thought, Mrs. Hamer? How will you ever cope?
What I don't understand is why you believed me.
That's not the point.
But you took me seriously.
You sounded serious. There was one thing I didn't tell you that did strike me as odd about our vanished helper.
What was that?
She was never married. I looked it up. Probably the only person she was ever close to was that old lady, and she just died. But she never did have a husband to lose over Germany or read a Bible with or anything. She invented him. So maybe you did suspect something.
And you kept that quiet?
It isn't exactly criminal.
I've forgotten to take my pills. I haven't taken them for hours. Listen. I'm breathing. I'm just breathing. Maybe I'm cured.